this was the absolute funniest movie I have seen in a long time.
Like funny haha or funny bad?
Funny so bad I was laughing out loud. I really thought this movie was supposed to be scary.
I don't think they were going for funny.
Well, it wasn't scary, so... Hey guys, welcome back to It Takes Two. I'm Emily.
I'm Quinlan.
And today we're going to be talking all about the Netflix movie Death Note. But before we get started with that, don't forget to check out our socials. Takes2_pod on Instagram and Takes2pod on Twitter and TikTok. So this movie, it was something. Okay, to be fair, I am gonna roast this movie hard, but I will say I could see how it would be a good anime, and I'm definitely gonna go back and actually watch the anime now before it gets taken off Netflix. But I don't think they translated it to a live action
very
movie
well.
very well. Not at all. Not at all.
Because it's like actual, like, a book too, you know? So I would love to, read it and see how that translates into the show, translates into the movie, and then, reverse and back. Yeah. Because something was just off. Like, it just wasn't quite clicking the whole way through.
It's the shooting style, okay? I figured that out within the first, 2 minutes. I thought it was a joke. It's shot like an edgy, almost like spy movie.
Like 80s, like with the music intro, that's what I was getting, like the cheer team.
I was gonna call it like a 90s, early 2000s edgy student film.
Oh,
that's
perfect.
Exactly what it looked like. Because what was the color grading? Why was it so bright and cheery until the demon showed up and then they'd be like, oh, extreme shadows for like half a second and then back to normal. It was so bright. It was so bright. And the lighting, it was always perfect 3-point lighting on every character's face. It made me mad.
They didn't want any face shadows.
The lighting was so bright on their faces and everything. And it wasn't even how we would normally maybe make everything blue, but then the skin tones are normal. Everything was extremely saturated and bright, but just standard color, which really added to the student film vibe because there was no cinematic element to it. I showed the beginning to Jacob, and he started laughing too. From a filmmaker perspective, it's something.
It's something. So for those of you who have not seen this movie or have not read or seen the show, or what I'm trying to say, but Death Note is essentially a book that someone can possess to write someone's name, write a note, and it will kill the person. You can write specifically how they are going to die, where, what they're doing, that sort of thing.
You can also possess that person for 2 days before their death, so you can make them do whatever you want.
For those, 48 hours leading up to their death. So essentially, what happens is the book just, falls from the sky.
I wish we were kidding. Directly from the sky.
Yeah, directly from the sky. And so Light, our main character that we're following, he picks up the book, and it's just got pages and pages and pages of rules and stuff, blah, blah, blah.
So before he's given the book, he's selling homework. That's a big deal in this movie. I'm not exactly sure why. There's a lot of plot holes that I bet are filled in if you actually know the manga or the anime, but we don't, so we have a lot of questions.
We're missing some info.
We really are. We'll get to that. But he's selling homework, and then is it the cheerleader that's getting beat up?
I think she tries to stop somebody else from getting, bullied, and then he gets all up in her face, or hits her or something, and then Light is like, don't you touch her! And then gets all possessive, and then he gets his shit rocked, to say the least.
And then he gets detention, where he meets the death demon.
Ryuk? And this is the man's that could give you some creepy little...
I'll give you, he's a really well done, like, demon character,
Yeah.
but he doesn't fit the space, which makes sense in the context of what we're watching. But again, from a filmmaking perspective, he should stand out and be different because he's from a different world. But it's just so jarring because I feel like this film is shot like a Jason Bourne movie, but it's a high school drama about demons.
But in detention, he meets this death god type of thing. And here he's presented the opportunity to get some revenge on said bully. So, the death god, Ryuk, I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but yeah, Ryuk, he's like, what do you want to do? Write his name down. Say how you want it to happen. And then what he writes is the kid's name and then decapitation. And, within seconds, done.
Very Final Destination.
Yeah, for sure. Like, basketball gets hit by a can and rolls into the road, and the van swerves out of the way, and then the truck swerves out of the way, and then a ladder comes flying out of the truck and decapitates him.
I was so excited with how gory that was because it was so well done. And then the kills just got worse and worse as the film went on and just like disappointing.
Yeah, what's the rating on that movie? Like, maybe they just had one good.
I think it's R. TVMA. It's weird that it got a TV rating.
That's kind of weird.
This also all takes place in Seattle, which is kind of random. I don't know if the original anime takes place in Seattle, but
Yeah, that's another big point, or another big, like, plot thing that I'm curious about. Because when he picks his name later as his thing, we can talk about that too. But first, we find out that after this tragic incident happens, decapitation and all, he goes home. He's chatting with his dad. We find out his dad is, like, big on the police force. And we also find out that Light's mom was killed in an accident. His dad and him are kind of big characters, obviously with what's about to go down, his dad being a major part of the police force. Out of a fit of rage, they get into a fight about how Light got caught selling homework and doing other people's assignments. He storms off and is so angry about his mom that he then goes and kills his mom's killer. Like, he uses the death note to write off that guy's death.
and then we just go to school the next day.
Like nothing happened.
Yeah, and then the cheerleader walks up and is like, "Oh, I know you." And he's like, "I know you too." She's like, "What's the book you're reading?" And he's like, "You won't believe me anyway." And she says, "So you're not gonna tell me?" And he's like, "Oh, I guess I'll tell you about my magic book. Let's go in the other room and I'll prove to you it's magic."
He tries to show her the death god, but doesn't work because only the book holder can see the death god, obviously.
Okay, that's another plot hole I'm mad about though. Isn't the book holder the only one who can write names in the Death Note? So why can anyone write a name in the Death Note and it still works, but no one else can see Ryuk?
Well, yeah, no, the whole thing was anybody can write a name in there, but only the keeper for 7 days. They can only keep the book for 7 days. So I'm confused at why then she can write things in it. And yeah, confusing because she wasn't the keeper ever.
Exactly. And it's you can get too specific with this book, but we'll get to that.
So then, to prove his point that he has a death god, they watch some SWAT team try to capture this guy who has some hostages, like a hostage situation. He's like, watch this happen. And he's like, writes in his little book, and then bam, guy's dead in a couple seconds. And he writes like oddly specific things like, so and so will let the hostage go and then perform a military salute and then step into traffic and then get hit. So, proving to her that he is in control.
and then she just gets really hot and heavy for him, and they're just like constantly making out and like killing people together. It gets weird.
Yeah, then like that is the like so that is like boom plot point, and that just we just stay at that level for a while. They're just getting hot,
They're making out for like 5 minutes and just like on top of each other all the time, and then it just goes between that,
killing another person.
killing another person. Oh, we should turn this into a whole concept of we're just some world savior and we'll leave notes that it was us so that the criminals will be scared and like stop committing crime.
Yeah, so he thinks that with his death god powers that he can just change everything. Everything will be good from now on. And he invents this name Kira, and he's like, it means light, which is his name, first off.
That's actually his name in the show, in like the manga and stuff, so that makes sense.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, he made the the all-knowing person, like the entity that he was creating, named after himself.
Sounds like a teenage boy thing to do.
And he's like, but it also means killer in Japanese. So I was like, but it also means light, which is your name.
But then they'll be looking on another continent for the person, so it's fine. Also, the cops are 100% aware that whoever is committing these murders of these criminals isn't physically there doing it. But like they're not looking at it in a supernatural perspective or anything. They're just like, "Oh, we know they're causing it, but we don't know how."
Yeah, and like the dad and Light are talking, and Light's like, why do you think it's such a bad thing that all the killers are turning themselves in and dying? Like, why is that an issue? And he's like, aren't you worried that it's like part of something bigger? Like, why are they doing it? Which is a good question. Like, nobody suspected anything supernatural, obviously, because it's, TV or whatnot, or it's supposedly real life type of situation. But yeah, he's like, well, why are they all turning themselves in? And then somehow they just narrow it down. It's happening in Seattle.
That's what I want to know. How did this, like, the SPD has the major US task force with the FBI and the international government of, oh, this guy is based out of here.
He just like narrowed it down. And then we meet L. And he, for some reason, just like knows more than everybody else. He's like, I know it's somebody in Seattle. I know more about what's going on than anybody else. Let me be a part of your task force.
We're definitely missing some backstory there of he has to know something more about this that we're not told because he's too aware of what's going on with like Kira and Light, but hasn't fully put the pieces together. Like he thinks it's something supernatural, kind of telepathic, but he's not exactly sure what the cause is.
Yeah, because even at the end, it doesn't really reveal that he understands, even.
But he knew enough to hide his face.
But yes, he knew enough that he couldn't be killed if someone didn't know his face or his name, because he just went by L, he didn't actually have a name. So he knew that if you had a name and your face, you could be killed, but that's it.
My conspiracy is that whatever weird underground child detective breeding thing they had going on was secretly just after the Death Note and Ryuk.
Yeah, like somebody in that biz, like in that childhood school thing.
Because did you also notice when they went there, it was covered in blood and stuff, like there was a massacre?
Yeah.
Also, why did Ryuk not let Light find out what L's name was? He killed the guy before he found out the name, but if they killed L, wouldn't that have solved Ryuk's problems?
I literally have no idea, man. It seemed like it. And I was just confused.
I don't know how important the plot is to this movie.
So, another thing that really like confused me was how well these two teenage kids could write out murder plots and control someone for 48 hours without making a mistake leading up to their death. because they would be like, so and so has to be here at this time, at this time, at this time, and then so and so will be here, and then so and so will be here, and then bam, everything will be happy and resolved.
They were actually just the writers to Final Destination.
They did. They had to have been in on it. Like, I just didn't get, like, how did they, like, he did kind of make one mistake, but it wasn't even really his mistake with the Watari thing. Watari didn't have enough time to finish his task. But that's literally the only mistake in these, like, giant 48-hour long sequences that they were planning out.
Yeah, like if we jump to the ending of he planned out when she takes the death note, the Ferris wheel falls, causing her and her boyfriend to fall. She hits the pavement and dies. He falls into the water. Then a doctor who is also
Oh no, well, the page with his name on it catches fire.
which releases him from the death note that she had written on him earlier, and then he's pulled out of the water by a doctor known to abuse women. And then the doctor puts him into a medically induced coma, and then 2 days later, the doctor dies. And then a mailman who abused children finds the death note and hides it for him, and then brings it to him at the hospital once he wakes up.
But also writes names continuously in the death note for those 48 hours.
To prove that Light was in a coma and couldn't be.
The one killing people.
Exactly.
And, like, he had this, and it was no mistakes.
And he wrote it in the span of like 2 minutes as he was running from cops and trying to catch up to his girlfriend.
Yeah, he just knew what to do. And I mean, same with the girl. Like, her plan when she killed all the FBI agents was not nearly as in depth as that one. She, like, had so and so write all the names and all the blah 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 of all of his coworkers, and they all committed death to themselves at once. I was just, how did they not make any mistakes is what I want to know, because, like, that was the biggest hole in my mind, was I would miss a step. Do you ever remember when you were in, like, grade school, did you have to write a how-to paper, and it was like, how to make a peanut butter and jelly, and you'd say, like, smear the peanut butter on the bread, and then the teacher would just, like, grab the jar of peanut butter and smear it on the bread, but you never said to open it, so he never actually opened the peanut butter?
No, we never did that.
Well, it was trying to, basically the
Yeah,
whole point of the
it
paper
makes
was
sense.
to, yeah, like, teach you how to be specific in your steps. And, like, we were kids when we wrote this, and half of us forgot to open the jar of peanut butter, you know, and pick up the knife. So the teacher would literally just open the jar, if you've remembered that part, and then he would stick his whole hand in there because you didn't say pick up the knife.
So I guess Light really learned that lesson in school.
He really did, because I failed that part pretty good, because it's just easy to forget little simple steps. And somehow he forgot 0 in his master plan.
You want to know what plot hole that's not really a plot hole, but just something that bothered me that's never explained?
Huh.
Why does Ryuk like apples so much? He eats like 3 or 4 apples in this movie. And like he's a demon that no one can see. How can he physically eat the apple? He's not even the one committing the like murders or anything. We don't see him kill anything. We just know that he's the one who caused this.
Yeah, because he's influenced, or he's, like, bound to the book, but he's not, like, because he gets really mad at Light when Light starts, like, yelling for him. He's like, I'm not a dog. Like, you can't just call me. Like, I'm a god. Leave me alone. But yet, he is stuck and paired with this book. But the apple thing was really weird. I don't know. Maybe that's another thing that we're just missing from the...
Yeah, the anime's like 38 episodes, and I'm sure the manga's even longer, so we're missing some context here.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna go watch it though, because it is a Shonen Jump, and I like Shonen Jump, so.
Yeah, I guarantee that it'd probably be. I've heard great things about it. I've never heard anybody talk about this movie. I've only ever heard people actually talk about the manga or the anime, and not about this movie.
Actually, what's really funny is I think a week or two ago I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, And one of them just briefly mentioned it and then like moved on. They just said something about Netflix Death Note, and I was like, yeah, I've never heard good things about that.
Yeah, I've never even just heard anybody really ever talk about it.
Which is sad because the actors are really good in it. It's just shot really poorly.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I was never like taken out of it by unconvinced. The emotion that they were trying to portray, or like, that was always spot on. Like, I could see what they were doing and feel it too, but yeah, I think the shooting style is what just kind of was a real big miss on that one.
It was fun too because I feel like they pulled off being anime characters without overdoing it. So like some of the things they did was cheesy,
Mm-hmm.
but it fit the style of what they were going for, which I think just makes them really good actors.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm trying to picture what other movies I've seen the main guy in.
He's got to be in something. He looks like Jeremy Shada. He looks like Finn from Adventure Time, the guy who plays Finn.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I met him. He's very sweet.
Okay, so another thing that confuses me with the whole Death Note thing is that Ryuk tells at the beginning of when Light and Ryuk are first meeting, he says that if you don't want this, leave it somewhere alone for 7 days, but I will find it a new home or a new owner or new person or whatnot. But so like multiple people have had this Death Note and nobody ever talks about it and nobody ever like connects to one another. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that's because Ryuk at one point said, if you want to give up the book, you can, but you know what the first name I'm going to be suggesting is. And that could have either been at his dad, because his dad was the lead investigator,
yeah.
or it could have been at him. So maybe Ryuk just has each of the Death Note holders kill the last Death Note holder, possibly without even knowing who they actually are.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that like Light didn't have to kill anybody. So like kill a previous owner of the, so he would have either been dead or something.
Ryuk did say the previous owner had died already.
Oh, missed that part.
Okay, you're kidding though. Do you know who the main actor is?
Um I was looking him up. I was trying to see what I know him from.
He's one of the brothers from the Naked Brothers band from when we were children. Do you know what that is?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
It was. I don't. Honestly, it was a TV show, and I think they were an actual band. I don't know. It was from when we were probably like 5, and it was on Nickelodeon. And he was one of the two brothers from the Naked Brothers band. And I think that's absolutely hilarious, and I did not recognize him. To be fair, he was also a child the last time I saw his face, so.
What I'm thinking of him in is The Fault in Our Stars and Paper Towns.
I did not put it together that William Dafoe was Ryuk.
Oh, man, I don't even know all these people. I don't know people's names. People's names is what confuses me.
Did you see Spider-Man No Way Home?
No. Yeah, no, I've only seen the other two. I haven't seen the third one yet.
Have you seen the 2002 Spider-Man movie?
With Tobey Maguire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen all of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans.
He's Green Goblin.
Oh, okay. Yes. Got it. That makes perfect sense. I can hear it now that you say that. I just had no idea that was his name. He's in the Green Goblin is in the new Spider-Man?
Sorry for that spoiler, but it's been out for a while.
I knew that all the Spider-Mans were in the Spider-Man. I knew that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and everybody and like they were in it, but I didn't realize that. But that totally makes sense.
Yeah, the Spider-Mans are in it because all of the like extended villains get pulled into the universe.
Does that mean Franco's in it or no?
Who is he?
He's the Green Goblin's kid, and he takes over being the Green Goblin.
No. My favorite Green Goblin, though, is still Dane DeHaan.
Is who?
Dane DeHaan. The Amazing Spider-Man Green Goblin.
I ain't seen that. I mean, I've seen it, but it's been years.
I had a crush on him, so
We're talking about the one with Andrew Garfield, right?
yeah.
I only remember the blue guy from The Amazing Spider-Man. That's the only villain I remember.
Who is the blue guy?
He's got like electricity.
Oh, Jamie Foxx?
Is that who it is?
The electricity guy is Jamie Foxx, yeah.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that movie since it came out, and I've seen it in theaters.
Because he's in the new one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, because I have not. So, like, I haven't seen the new one, the new No Way Home, and I haven't seen The Amazing Spider-Man, obviously with him in it, since it played in theaters when it first came out. So, yeah, I had literally no idea. That's funny. That's a good one.
Okay, so we talked about the ending of the movie when the girlfriend dies and he gets put into a coma, but we didn't talk about the actual ending.
Like the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, the last 5 minutes when he wakes up from his coma.
So does he kind of like explain everything that he did to his dad, but like not explain it? That's like kind of what I got.
I think he actually just basically explains the entire plot of the movie back to his dad in 5 minutes.
He's like, I am Kira. I killed hundreds of people.
And then he leaves clues for Elle. I think he meant to leave the clues for Elle, or he finally just figured out the tracks to the page of rules to the Death Note being in his room. And I thought that was going to be so that he could go and then write Ryuk's name down on the page to kill Ryuk. Because his whole thing was like, no one can ever write down my name. I never give them enough time to. I always kill them first, which I'm guessing is how the last owner died.
Yeah.
And then, nope, it's just over. He found the page. Oh no, credits.
Yeah, he like tries to use it as proof, like, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's killing all these people. You know, like before that, he's like trying to plead a case that he's the one that's killing everybody. I haven't figured out how, but he's doing it, and he's like, he's been in a coma for 2 days and people are still dying, type of thing. And so I thought even that he would write like Light's name down. You know, when he found that paper, I was like, oh, like what if he did that? Like Uno reverse type of thing.
But wait, does the Uno reverse work if it's no longer in the book? You can burn a page when it's no longer in the book, but it's now not in the book, so does it work if you write on it? Because that feels like a whole nother issue.
That does. But I feel like it has to, because I think it's just the act of writing, you know, on this specific book. It's still a paper from that book. And those names, yeah, like you said, it could be burned. So why couldn't you add to it before?
Speaking of burning the pages, so the keeper can only burn one page while they have it. But when the girlfriend was trying to steal the book, she was trying to transfer the keeper to her, which Ryuk seemed on board for. But then couldn't they each have burned a page, so it wouldn't have mattered if Light had burned the guy's page to save him, and then she could have still burned Light's page?
Yeah, but I don't think she was ever technically like keeper of the book.
It's so confusing.
She still had the book and still used it, but she wasn't technically.
There's a lot of rules that we don't understand, because they got to like rule 92, and then here's 4 rules.
And that's like all we got to see was 4 of them. So we really don't know what happened, like what what all the limitations are, you know?
But she was psycho.
Oh, she was crazy.
Which is weird, because I also, like, they made her whole personality like, I'm a cheerleader, but I'm not like other girls. I smoke cigarettes at cheerleading practice.
That's literally her whole personality. I'm not like other girls.
I hate it so much.
But she really wasn't. She was getting all hot and bothered by some killings, you know,
like she would have been a serial killer if it hadn't been for Death Note.
Yeah. She really wasn't like other girls.
True.
There really was something wrong. Yeah, I really need some more info. I need to see more.
There's no conclusion to this movie. It just ends.
Yeah, like you said, it just, he's reading that one page and then the credits roll. So we don't know, like, what Light's dad does, what Light does.
Yeah, I just wish we knew even, like, Ryuk's motivation. There's no backstory on him. He's just like, this book is as old as history itself. which makes him as old as history itself, and there's no rhyme or reason to why he's attached to this book,
Yeah.
or why he's a death god or likes murdering people.
What does he gain from this besides like he just entertainment, you know?
He just likes to chuckle at it.
He says like you humans are funny or something, you know, like he is learning about humans and, you know, watching all these people just evolve into crazy madness type of thing. And even in the book, one of the previous people wrote like, don't trust Ryuk, he's not your friend. So he's obviously doing some messed up stuff and, you know, like behind the scenes, and like what is he doing?
And then Light, when he was in the diner, was reading some book that looked like mythology of some sort, and it had a demon in it that looked exactly like Ryuk, and it had the apple. But then he just closes the book and it's never mentioned. We could have gotten backstory, we could have gotten plot, we could have heard something, and then nothing. There's no conclusion. We learn nothing, nothing changes, just Light and his girlfriend murdered a bunch of criminals across the world. So many questions. So many questions that the movie leaves unanswered.
Yeah, I have more questions now than before.
And so now I'm gonna go watch the anime. And with that, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace out, Cub Scout.